Hey Stitchers, it's Trisha, the left-handed stitcher. I'm here to do an update. Yay! It's only been about a month and a half since I did my last update, so hopefully I can keep them coming, on a fairly regular. I can't promise anything, because doing so would be the quickest way of making sure it didn't happen. So I actually have a lot of stuff to talk about and to show you, because it's not only an update, it's to update you to a point to update you. I am the stuff that I didn't show in 2016 because I wasn't doing videos. I'll show some of that tonight. The only stuff from 2016 that I'm not going to show in this video is the Round Robin stuff. That's going to have its own video. So I'll be working on that one after I'm done with this one. This video took me 3 days to prep for, and I've made like 7 trips in and out of this room to bring stuff in because I kept forgetting stuff. So like they say, grab your stitching, get something to drink. We might be here a while. So okay, the first thing is my trip to Wisconsin was awesome. It was so much fun. I'm so glad that I decided to do the little retreat with my friend Becky. It was just freaking one of the best times I've had in a while. She's such a wonderful person, and I am so grateful that she has, she's opened her home to me, and we've been able to reconnect, because it was so much fun. Might have to do it again if they decide to do another craft retreat in January. As long as airfare prices are the same reasonable amount next year, might have to do it again. But I will see her in June, because that's when I plan to drive up to Wisconsin this summer. So I'll see her again then. Alright, so what's on the horizon for me as far as Stitchy goes? I am going to the Stitches from the Heart spring retreat over in San Antonio area. I'm really looking forward to it. I get to meet some of the wonderful girls over there who, a lot of them Flosstube, but not all of them will be there for this one. There was schedule conflicts, so sometime in the future I will meet them all. But maybe it's a good thing that I'm only getting to meet a few of them, because I have social anxieties. So having too many people at one time might not be a good thing. So it's just the way it is, and so I am going to have fun, and I am going to enjoy meeting the ones that are going to be there. So after that, in April, is the Albuquerque retreat, spring retreat. So I'm going to that as well, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I haven't seen Jennifer since last spring retreat, because I didn't go to the fall retreat because she scheduled it during the weekend of Halloween. I got a kid and a husband that love Halloween. I'm not about to go on a Stitchy retreat that weekend, so I had to skip it. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with Jennifer again. And then I signed up for the Flosstube retreat in October. So it's a retreat year. It's there's even a few in between there's, you know, that I might be going to. So it's, you know, I figure I'm not working, and I'm big into my stitching, so I might as well just go. If I can afford it, I'm gonna go. Let's put it that way. And of course, as you guys know, I am doing Stitch What's, so that's most of my stitching is centered around that right now. We'll see. I might be shifting gears a little bit, but I'm still gonna stay active in Stitch What's. So, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. First thing to show you, I'm gonna kind of start early in 2016 and move forward. So the first thing that I finished in 2016, I went looking for this. I know it's in this house. I thought it was with the frame that I'm going to put it in, but it's not there. I think my mother-in-law put it someplace safe and she forgot to tell me, so I'll have to ask her about it tomorrow. But I do have a picture of it when I auditioned the frame. So here is what it is. It is the birth sampler that I did for my niece's little baby. That was a lot of stitches, but it's just so super cute and, you know, kind of modern and edgy, and it just turned out perfect. So, yep, once I find it, I'm gonna frame it in that frame. That's the best thing I could find. When I went to go price it, to have one of the craft stores do it, it was just too freaking much. So, but I think I like the frame that I found, and then I'll take it with me when I go up in June. So that'll be good. The next thing that I stitched, it is 99% finished. I'm gonna have to scooch back and maybe stand up for this one. I finished the back stitching on Innocent Guardian. So here she is. All the back stitching is done. Let's see if I bring it up just a little bit closer. Isn't she gorgeous? I absolutely love how this turned out. And that, you know, filigree brocade in the skirt is just gorgeous. There is a crap ton, well, there was a crap ton of back stitch in this piece, and a whole bunch of French knots. Good thing I'm good at French knots. The only thing that I have left to do is in the pattern there is a little halo around her that is charted as French knots with the gold blending filament. Not happening, not happening. I'm gonna do beads, so during the next, I don't know if I'll take this to the San Antonio retreat or if I'll take it to the Albuquerque retreat. I think I'm gonna do Albuquerque since those girls have seen this, so I'm sure that they will enjoy seeing it finally finished, or finally a FO, and then I can bring it home and I can get it FFO'd and give it to my mother-in-law. But has it been 13, 14 years now that this has been in progress? So I'm happy that I'm very close to being done. All right. The next thing I did is the previous retreat to the spring retreat of 2016. That was my first one up there, and the girls, you know, they talk a lot and they joke a lot, and just it's so fun and funny to be there. One of the things that a conversation got started about is that the way, and it tends to be a southern thing, where you say something about somebody as long as you preface it by saying bless their heart. You can say anything you want as long as you preface it by bless their heart. So when I got home, I decided I wanted to create a pattern as a gift for them. And I'd finished the pattern in time for the spring retreat, but I hadn't gotten to stitching an example of it, so I didn't hand it out then. I was going to, and then I got kind of, I don't know, stage fright, and I realized after the fact that it was because I didn't have a stitched one to show. So when I got home, I stitched up my little pattern. Bless her heart. So this coming up retreat, I'll be able to give the girls this pattern as a gift. And I love how it turned out. It took me a while to find the right fonts that would go together and all that, and it took me even longer to decide on the border. There's just so many options, so many decisions, and I'm not good at decisions, so it took me a while. Alright, so now, like I said, after I got back from the 2 trips to Wisconsin from my parents passing away, I got on a finishing kick, not a FFO kick, just to finish my whips kick. So I picked up my waving American flag that I have been working on since I started. I started it just before Flosstube. I started before I started doing Flosstube videos, and it is finally done. So here it is. Wow, it does. It always looks so awesome in the camera. Now there's one thing that I'm not happy about. After I finished it and I washed it, I was looking at it and it bugged me, and I even went back to the pattern because I thought maybe I made a mistake, but it's in the pattern. That little stitch right there just doesn't seem right. And it bugs me, so I'm gonna have to go in and I'm gonna have to fix that. And I think while I'm at it, I will fix that too. That one's also charted, but it seems like it doesn't need to be there. So those 2 little things will get fixed. This is a beautiful pattern. The only, I think you guys may remember, or if you don't, the only color change I made in this is this darker blue. The original color it didn't seem blue enough for me, so I made that change. But the rest of them are as charted, and it's gorgeous. Now if I may stitch this again, who knows? If I stitch it again, I'm gonna stitch it on 16 count, because 14 count you can see a lot of white space in these darker colors. But back at this time, I had yet to try 32 count, so this is what I felt comfortable with. But yeah, if I frame it and put it up at a height where people have to stand at a distance to see it, it'll be perfect. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it yet, though. I might frame it and donate it to someplace, like the American Legion in town or the VFW. I think that would be kind of cool. Alright, so that was my first post-funeral finish. Then I picked up Cool Cardinal and finished him. There he is. Look at all those snowflakes. I had most of him done. it's just, I had to finish him up and do all of these snowflakes. But this is done on Picture This Plus Nocturne, and it's perfect. That dark gray, moody winter sky, and I love him. So, very happy with that finish. And then I picked up my black work hummingbird, and I finished him. I was probably about 2/3 done at the time, so I was over in this area right here, and then had to go down to here and finish up this bottom section. But yeah, that shading does take a while. You know, when I put it down after I'd worked on it for a while, I'd just gotten tired of the shading, and it had just started to become a struggle, so I put it down. And when I picked it back up, it was a lot easier. It felt, you know, I was enjoying it, and so got it done. And let's see if I can get it in there. I found a good place for my signature. I think it came up pretty cool. And I have no plans for this, really. I didn't stitch it for anybody. I stitched it because it was a very interesting pattern, and I wanted to give it a try. I mean, it's gorgeous, so at some point it'll probably get finished. I may do a wall hanging with it, and we'll see. I do have plans in the future of having a large craft room with a lot of wall space. This one is really small, so there is no wall space. It shelves everywhere. So eventually I'll have a craft room big enough I can have wall space to put some of these things up. So that one's done. As far as my other whips that I have that have been ongoing for a while, let's see, I made notes. It took me 3 days to prep for this, so hopefully I don't want to forget anything. My flower of the month, no change on that. I'll get started on it again, but I have to feel like doing it. My Tempting Tangles is waiting for the entire pattern to come out, because there's a color decision that I just felt I couldn't make until I've seen the entire pattern. The chatelaine, no changes, haven't stitched on it. My Jim Shore monogram that I've been working on, I've made a lot of progress, but it's part of the Stitch What's, so that'll get shown during my Stitch What's segment. Alright, and let's see. Okay, before I get started in Stitch What's, something I want to show you. Alright, so you guys remember this little fabric roll that I made for my trip? It worked very well for the purpose I made it for, but I've been thinking about it, and it's a very limited use design, the way I made it. I mean, granted, a lot of my projects aren't going to be more than this wide that I'm going to take on a trip such as this. So it'll definitely get used in the future, and it did serve its purpose very, very well. And, well, that leads into, recently we did a stitch along in Stitch What's called Maliciously Hopeless Stitch Along Challenge, and it 7 new starts in a week's time. When I got done with my 7 new starts, I suddenly had more whips than Q snaps, because I start a project, it goes on a Q snap, and it's in 80% of the time it stays on the Q snap or the scroll rod that it started on. But now I have more whips than I have Q snaps. Oh wait, that reminded me, another one of my whips that hasn't gotten any progress but has started to speak to me again is my Emerald Mermaid. So you'll see her in the future. Just right now she hasn't had any progress. Okay, so 7 new starts. I was thinking about this, and I started thinking about a project roll. I'd seen one in someone's video a while back, and then I went looking to see if there was a tutorial out there on them, and I found one with Vana. It was a really good one, but the design didn't quite meet what I was thinking. So I thought about it for several days. It's about a week and a half. It was rattling around in my brain how to make my own, how I wanted to do the different parts of it and how they should connect together and just the construction of it. And I finally decided, and I made my prototype. I made it big enough where it should fit most of what I do, and it's just a roll. And I am very happy with how it turned out. It was a very easy thing to put together, and I think that I have the design meshed out that I can share it. So if there is interest, I will do a tutorial on the project roll. But because it's really big, I can't exactly get far enough back to show it to you. So let me go to my Dropbox. Give me a minute, because I was in a different folder for that one. So there we go. Down we go, and alright. So that's how it turned out. Like that. I posted a picture, I think it was on Cross Stitches Fun. Maybe even, I don't know if I did Stitch Mania as well. But very cool. Very, very happy with how that turned out. And again, I added D-rings at both ends so that you can hang it up, this way, or the other end was specifically for if I want to travel with it. I can put something between the 2 ends and use it as a carry handle. So that was pretty cool. And again, I think very spatially. I have a very analytical mind. Is just how I do these things. I think in 3D. So when I want to create something, I can usually think of it, turn it around in different angles and look at it to see, Anyways, so, okay. That's holding my 7 new starts. We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. Alright, so now that one thing I wrote down I want to mention is that my project bag tutorial has gotten some excellent feedback. I'm just so completely jazzed when you guys like what I show you. So I'm still I'm still waiting to see what you guys create. And also, since my last update video, I want to thank everybody for all the kind words and concern that you expressed about me dealing with my parents. So I really do appreciate it. Alright, so now we're gonna get started on the stitching for 2017. But it starts in 2016 because Stitch What's actually started at the end of October. So let's do, I gotta grab all the props. Because there's a lot of them. Alright. So the first one was called it's a weekly challenge. It was called Autumn Critters, and I found this little pattern, a little freebie online. Little tiny fox. He's so cute. I've had him in my, little freebie folder for a while, and I finally found a reason to stitch him. He is just adorable. This is a scrap from the Picture This Plus Nocturne. So this is project number 2. So the first one was Cool Cardinal. Number 2 going on that piece of Nocturne. So there he is. The next thing was the November. Okay, I'm gonna be looking down a lot because there's a lot of details. I don't wanna get them out of order, and I don't wanna miss anything. The next was a monthly called What Are You Thankful For? And I just realized, where did I put it? Bear with me for a sec. Where is it? Okay. Oh, now I remember. Now I remember where I put it. I think it's in here. Nope. Darn it. I know I gathered it. I know I did. So where did it go? All right. I will have to go find it after this video and put a picture in. It is the Blissfully Unaware by Hands On Design, I think. Yep, Hands On Design. I stitched it on the 32 count Grape Jam from Silkweaver, and it was done with DMC threads. I used, well, a lot of the threads in the pattern are hand-dyed. I converted them all to DMC, and I didn't use their conversions. I started with their conversions, and then I made alterations for the ones that just didn't make any sense. That one was also used for one of the weekly challenges that we had called Floss Bingo. And you always got to give a reason why your project fits the theme. And my reasoning is my husband and my son absolutely love Halloween, and I'm very thankful for them. So that's how that one fit. I've been wanting to start that one for a while, so it was a perfect time for it. Alright, the next one was a weekly challenge called Friendship, and for that I used one of the round robin pieces. So when I show my round robins, I will show that. It was the one that was for the wordy round robin that month. You'll see it later. The next week was a weekly family challenge, and for that I used a house crest. And as you probably have seen, because it does have its own video, this is how the house crest turned out. But this one got featured in a few of the stitch alongs challenges, because it took a while to stitch that thing. Alright, so there was a miscellaneous style that came along called Misery Loves Company, and it was a challenge to pull out one of your oldest UFOs and finish it. So the one I did was this little guy. It's a kit by Vivaco. I think that's how you say it. If it's different, those of you in Europe, if it's said differently, please tell us, because that's just one of those words that might have a, you know, a accent to it, and I just, you know, because Vivaco, I'd love to know actually how to say that. But the kit was called 10 Tiny Toes, and I stitched the image while I was pregnant with my son, but as many things do, it got put by the wayside once he was born. So finally I pulled it out to finish it, was just putting in his information at the bottom. And I had it charted out, and I had charted it out with his target due date. Well, he was born like a week early, which he was ready. He was more than ready, so it wasn't really early. It was just earlier than they predicted. But these kits are so pretty. So I have a feeling that I'll probably be stitching this pattern again sometime. You know, it's such a cool little image for a baby sampler. So pretty. Alright, so there's that project. And okay, let's put that over here. That belongs with that. Trying to keep everything organized because there's a lot of stuff. Alright, moving along. The next thing we did was a weekly challenge. It was a Christmas ornament. So, let me pull it out. The first one, or the one that I had planned out to do, is a little pattern called A Simple Tree in the Just Cross Stitched Ornament issue for 2002. And this is how it turned out. So pretty. Such a, you know, a little pattern, and it's so simple, but it's just awesome. The changes fabric first. This was stitched on 32 count summer khaki Belfast. I've got a lot of linen in my stash that I bought for, you know, just trying stuff in different colors to, you know, have stuff on hand. And that was before I learned that I really did not like linen. So I'm trying to use up as much as I can on these little things. The three changes I made in this pattern is, for the red, I used the over-dyed red that I made for the Stitch Watch crest, the satin door crest. I had leftovers, so I decided to use it in this pattern. And they had rice stitches in these corners. Instead I did rhodes, because I like the way they look better. And then for the pine needles, I tweeted 319 and 320 together for it, and I really like how it turned out. Now, most of what I'm going to show you is going to be in FFO format, because you get more points for FFOing And I didn't find out until the last day that they were only going to award the extra points for one FFO. So I FFO'd most of these ornaments, which I was a little upset about, because the time I spent FFOing all those ornaments, I could have banged out like 2 or 3 more ornaments. But that's okay. Stitch the satin door house won that semester without that extra bit of points. So in the end, it worked out. So I will show you, I'll talk about the FFOs as I show each project. This is a craft frame from Walmart, and I hand painted it myself. It took a few tries to get it to look just right. I was going for the same color frame that's in the picture in the magazine, and the way I was able to achieve that is I did a base of black on it, and then I painted a green over top real lightly. So that's how it turned out. That's how I was able to achieve the look I was looking for, and it's kind of a temporary FFO. I wanted to make sure that this is how I wanted it before I made the actual, and it's got a little bit of batting underneath, so it has a nice cushy finish. But yeah, I really like it. So it'll get permanently done in this frame. Set it down. Okay, so as I have alluded to, after I finished that, they released the fact that we were being encouraged to stitch multiple ornaments, and we were going to get points for each one. And that was a challenge that I was willing to undertake, because that thing, I got that finished in the first day. So number 2, I did the same pattern in a different colorway. I went for a more bright, I kind of call this my peacock colorway, and so I just stitched it a second time with those different colors. So cute. And another craft frame from Walmart. This was hand painted. This was just a straight color that I picked, so it was easy. And then to put it in the frame, I used quilt fabric against the backer board, and then did the flat fold, what I'm gonna call the flat prep. It's how you prep the piece to go on the flat ornaments or the flat fold ornaments or whatnot. So flat prepped it and put it on there, and it turned out super cute. This one actually got permanently framed. So here's number 2. Number 3, let's find it. It's in this box somewhere. Buried. I did the Indigo Angel Mill Hill kit. And this is a gift from my mother-in-law. So I didn't get to it. I didn't get it finished until, well, it's not fully finished. It was finished enough for the challenge. I mean, I did cut it out and add the felt to the back. I chose a felt the same color as the perforated paper just so it blended better. I think it worked out well. And I make my own little eye hooks for my ornaments, so that got put in there. One thing I did not do is there was a wing that you added over top to cover, and I really didn't think it needed it, so I didn't stitch that to do that. Now and I have to add a little charm to her hands, so that'll get done before I give it away to my mother-in-law. One thing I want to say is I started beading with Nymo thread. The first thing I beaded was these little champagne colored beads in the wing, and it works well for that, you know, it looks good. But then I started doing the blue beads in the dress, and it didn't look right because the stitches, the spots where the beads were going were unstitched, and I could see the perforated paper around the bead. So I stopped using the Nymo and I started using the floss like the Mill Hill kit says to do, and that it turned out wonderful that way. So I think from now on for the Mill Hill kits, definitely use the floss that they have listed for each bead. But she's very pretty. I like how she turned out. So that was number 3. Number 4, I stitched part of a Country Cottage needlework pattern. It's from their snow sampler, and it's just a little snowman block. So there he is. And I even signed him in teeny tiny little initials and year. And then he was FFO'd. Well, okay, going back. This was stitched on 32 count linen called Stormy Night from Zweigart in just DMC threads. But he is prepped, or he is FFO'd on popsicle sticks, craft sticks that I painted with this shiny light blue. It's not a good match for the fabric, so I may have to redo that, but I was under a time crunch. So the sticks are just glued to a strip of mat board, and then I made this little wonky, squiggly hanger for him out of my, jewelry wire. So he got done that way. I was trying to find different ways of doing these FFOs. I didn't want to do them all the same, so I was trying to find different ways. So he was number 4. Number 5 was another part of the snow sampler pattern, also stitched on the 32 count Stormy Night linen. And for this one I used B5200 and the Krennic 032 blending filament, and he was FFO'd on a mini canvas painted black, and I decided to do him in diamond format, and I made the little hanger for the top. Now this is one that I'm not happy with. It just didn't turn out right. It wasn't how I envisioned it in my head. So he may get redone, or I may just leave him, handmade. Doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, my work on getting him flat prepped just didn't go well. Not at all. So who knows? I might change him. I don't know. We'll see. But number 5. Number 6, I found on it was a freebie off of a blog website. If you guys want, let me know, and I will give you a link in the next video. But if you just Google it, it'll come up to you. It was the blog it's a name I can't pronounce. Loulli. And the first one that I did from that website doesn't have a name. I just call it Birds on a Branch. And this is stitched on a 32 count linen haunted. I think that's a picture of this plus. And I changed the pattern a little bit. I changed the birds, because it's an all black pattern. I changed the birds to 321. I omitted the berries, and I added snow to it to make it more wintry. And I got froggy and I stitched it 1/1 on the 32 count, and that's how it turned out. This is my favorite one because it turned out so perfect. And I FFO'd it in a little frame that I got from one of the craft stores. It's probably like Joann's or Michael's in their little, you know, bargain bins that they have up towards the front. It was originally a navy blue and I spray painted it white for this. But yeah, those little stitches 1/1 on 32 count was tough. Freaking tough. But it's just so cute. I love it. So, number 6. Let's move on to number 7. This is from the same website. This is another piece of the 32 count Haunted. And I used the leftover floss from the Mill Hill kit, from the little angel. Well, the reds and the greens look good, the brown not so much. But I'll stitch it again. I just haven't decided on what color to make the bird. But again, I was under a time crunch, so I had to go with what I had. My colors that I used were, like I said, Mill Hill kit, and another little frame from one of the craft stores that I FFO'd him in. Just this little frame. He fit perfectly in it, and my mother-in-law really liked it, so this has been sitting in her room. So cute. You can definitely find some really cool patterns on these blogs. It's just a matter of finding them. Sometimes they're pretty buried. Sometimes they're on blogs that are in different languages. So, okay, so then after that, I moved to Ornament number 8, and this is from a pattern pamphlet from X Appeal. I think it's called Snow Blessings 2. I can't find it right now. I've misplaced a lot of the stuff that I used during these sales. I can't, so when it surfaces, I will make sure and show you guys. So this is one of like 3 patterns in it. I stitched this on 32 count Amsterdam blue linen in B5200 and 311, and I love it. Let it snow. This is one of those patterns I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally had a reason to. So this one is actually stretched over one of those little pre-made mini canvases, and just glued in the back. My corners are not the best, but they're pretty darn good, and it's a little bit uneven, but I'm getting better. And then I just use some double stick tape to put the ribbon. I have an idea of putting some jewels or something on this, or just, I don't know, find some way to cover that up. But this is so cute. I love the pattern, so it'll probably get stitched again at some point in something with a little bit of sparkle, maybe some beads, and on different fabric. I don't think that Amsterdam blue is the right color for this, but again, I was trying to use up some of the linen stuff that I had on hand. So, number 8. Number 9 is a pattern that I stitched from a pamphlet by the Trilogy called Ornamentology. There are like 5 tiles on this, and the first one I stitched is this little guy. think I used the colors. I'm not sure if I made any alterations to colors. I think I might have I might have changed the yellows and reds. Sometimes, you know, I get froggy and change those, but cool, pretty little pattern, and it's stitched up nice and quick. And this is done on a big, I prepped it in this long piece because I was planning to do all 5 of them, you know, in a banner format. This is a piece of fabric I had in my stash. It's one of those little bargain ones that you get from the big box craft stores. And I don't remember what brand it was. I don't think it was MCG. I really don't. But it's got a very uneven, slubby kind of look to it. Very vintagey kind of. But yeah, I figured it was the perfect background for these little guys. So the other ones will get stitched at some other time. And like I didn't FFO it because it's gonna get more added to it. So this is one, I think, let me see, this might be the only one that I didn't FFO. So there's that. And then number 10. I don't have the actual piece because I gave it as a gift to somebody. But it's a pattern I have stitched before, and I will stitch it again. So let me find the picture that I took of it to show you guys. Back to there, archive, there we go. And I gotta scroll down. Waiting for it to catch up. I put a lot of pictures in this folder of my cross stitch stuff, so I finally got smart and I put some of the old stuff in an archive folder so I wouldn't have to always scroll through all of them to find what I'm looking for. But he's gonna be down here a little bit further. Alright. There it is, right there. Okay, here's this little pattern. Let's see if I can get it to, okay, there we go. This is a little freebie that I found on someone's blog a long time ago, and I've kept it in my you know. I changed the border of it a little bit. I added the Smyrna, or the Rhodes, I think they're Smyrna. Nope, those are Rhodes. Rhodes stitches in the corners. But the rest of it is pretty much the same. Very cute little pattern. This one, it was done on 16 count white Aida, and I cut a piece of mat board to the size that I wanted, and I painted it with a shiny red color. Not the best red for this project. Again, I was under a time crunch, so I just had to go with what I, you know, run with it, let's put it that way. And I added 2 little eye hooks to the top and used a piece of 550 cord innard, that little white strand from the inside of 550 cord, because it's kind of shiny, so a white shiny cord, so it worked well. And this one got gifted to a friend. Alright, number 10, and then number 11. It's the last one that I did. Like I said, I did it, well, I FFO'd all of them on that last day. And while I was FFOing them all day, that's when they came up with that notification that only one was going to get points. So, like I said, A little bit upset at the time, but it turned out fine. This one, no, this ain't it. This ain't it. Sorry. Oh, this one, I grabbed the wrong one because I don't have it right now. I don't know where it's at. It probably got packed away with the Christmas stuff. So this is another one I have to show a picture of. Okay, can I move it? No. No. Okay, it's gonna have to stay the way it is. This is a pattern that I pulled out of one of my books. It's the Sam Hawkins 520 Christmas cross-stitch designs. And it's stitched on 16 count white Aida. And I FFO'd it by painting one of those little mini canvases, the flat ones, and then mounting the little piece on top. And he turned out really cute. I used like an ice blue background for it, and I think that worked out well. I made the little eye hook for it, little scrolly one, and put a ribbon on it. And that one turned out really well. So, okay, so I stitched 11 ornaments for that challenge. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and I had a lot of fun, even though I was a little stressed under a time crunch to do the FFOs. I tried a lot of different methods, and I had a lot of fun. Okay, so moving on. Give me a second. Get a drink. And it's time for Blistex reapply. If I don't have this in my pocket, nothing's right with the world. Let's put it that way. Alright, so the next challenge was the December monthly challenge called Winter Wonderland. And for that, I chose to stitch a pattern from an Etsy store called Patterned Bird. She calls it Snowflake. I call it Reverse Snowflake. And I've had this, I'd seen this a while back, and it caught my eye. I finally had a reason to stitch it. And this one was stitched on 32 count white Lugana that I have in my stash. And I picked DMC 931 to stitch it in, and that color was picked specifically to match the fabric that I was going to FFO in. So this is the fabric that I chose to FFO it with, and I made it into a wall hanging. So there is my pattern. It's so pretty and so elegant. You know, the reverse, you know, the negative space. I love this pattern the moment I saw it, and I'm so happy I finally got to stitch it. So it's just a little wall hanging, and I love how this turned out. So, as you're gonna see, I have FO'd a lot of these things. If I finish them in time, I do my best to get them FFO because you get more points, which is kind of cool because it's, you know, it's a good incentive to just FFO them when you get done. So I'm starting to get into a habit. It might be a good thing. All right, so then the next thing was a weekly challenge called Catch a Snowflake. And for this, I did a Sam Sarah design, one of their Pearls series called Frosty Flakes, and it was stitched on 32 count, picture this plus Nocturne. So this is number 3 project, stitched on the Nocturne. I did it with B5200. I stitched it 1/1 specifically because of how I wanted to FFO it. It needed to fit into this little frame that I found. And I added little beads to it from leftover beads from the Mill Hill kit. And this little frame I found in the LNS that is in Wisconsin, about an hour drives from my hometown. And I think it's an We Are Memory Keepers thing. It's meant for scrapbooking, but it worked perfectly for this. So here is how he turned out. So cute. He's got some batting underneath to give just a little bit of dimension, but look, little beads and 1 over 1. Now, I messed up on the pattern, but you can't tell. You really can't, because it's such tiny little stitches. So I fudged it. I fudged it good. There it is. And I used the same little beads to make a hanger. I think, yep. I alternated little blue beads in with the little champagne beads. I don't know if you can see that, but that look good. And then it's mounted to a piece of mat board that is then mounted to the back of the frame. So it's very simple. And I used ribbon that my scrapbooking adhesive, the double-sided tape, the really industrial stuff, was used to put the ribbon on. And after I had stitched, the string that goes through the beads is actually attached to the ribbon at both ends, so then that can get added. And this freaking awesome. It turned out better than I had envisioned it. So cute. Alright, so there is that. And I'm having fun reusing some of these leftovers, from the kits. So the next one was a weekly challenge called Peace and Joy. So I have had this little pattern in my freebie stash, my electronic freebie stash, for a while, and the whole Peace and Joy brought it to mind, so that's why I did it. It's stitched on 28 count lamb's wool joblin. I used the charted DMCs except for 2 changes. I replaced 3821 replaced 3854, and 746 replaced 677. I've been doing that a lot, I'll pull the colors, and then if I don't really like them, I make changes. And this was FFO'd as the Ornament finishing challenge that they do. They demonstrate a method for finishing an ornament, and then you get points for FFOing an ornament in that method. So this one was flat prep, and then mounted on felt pieces that were, cut with a wavy or a deco blade or something like that. So there it is, my little cute little pattern. Again, I've had this in my stash for a while because I loved it when I saw it, and I finally got a reason to stitch it. So that's the cool thing about this, the Stitch What's, these challenges. Those patterns that I've had for a while, and I'd finally, it's a reason to stitch them. So this one turned out so cool. Alright, now I finished that one so early in the week, I just decided to do, since I did a joy, I wanted to do a piece. So this is from, I need to turn the page, from the Just Cross Stitch Ornament issue for 2012. And it's a little piece ornament. This is stitched on a 28 count Lugana. It's a grab bag scrap that I got from 123 Stitch, and I think it's the color of it's called Caribbean. And so I picked a color of floss that would complement the background. So the word and the date are stitched 1 over 1 on that. So, very cute little pattern. So there that is. It'll get FFO'd at some point. I'll find the perfect way of doing this, and it'll get done. Alright, so the next one, I mean, we're still in December. It's weekly challenge called Candles Aglow. So I found this pattern on a blog called Alita Designs, and it's actually a bookmark that had 4 candles on it. I altered it to have only 3 candles, and I used the original one had blue and red candles. I just did all red candles for my design. And so here it is. Very cute. Like I said, it was a bookmark, so it was longer, and because I was doing an ornament, I recharted it and shortened it up. So there it is. And this is stitched on a 28 count summer khaki even weave. And if I'm not mistaken, it's one of those ones where the color is printed on the front, because the back is just kind of a white. But I finally got around to using that little piece. Is it a, it's not a quarter. Is that a fat quarter or a fat eighth? I don't know. The ones in from 1, 2, 3 Stitch that cost like $3 a piece. So, and I was trying to build a little stash of like color swatches for me to use. So I used that up. And then the next one is a weekly challenge called Glitter and Sparkle for the New Year. And for that one, I chose to work on my satin door crest, because I was at the stage where I was adding the beads around the griffin. So that's what happened for that one. Okay, so we move into January, finally. The January monthly was called Follow the Yellow Brick Road. So, you know, Oz theme, or you could just use the word yellow or brick or road or whatever you wanted. I've shown you guys before in my previous video my whip for this, my own design called Yellow Brick Road, stitched on a 28 count ivory even weave with DMC 444. And well, of course I finished it and I FFO'd it. I found this frame that just looks like Oz to put it in. Look at that iridescence on that frame. So it went in here. It's a little crooked, but I don't care. It was just a fun, you know, little pattern to do. So there it is, my yellow brick road. Alright. After that, we did New Year, New Start, which I used my Kathy's Violets chatelaine for, as well as, yeah, so the New Year, New Start and the chatelaine sow was that, but it hasn't had any more work done to it. I don't like to show whips if they don't have any work done on them, so you'll see that one in the future. Then Stitch What's went on a winter break between the 2nd of January and the 14th of January. So, let me put that box down there. After we came back from break, the first thing was a weekly challenge called Stitch Your Heart Up. And for this, this is one of the projects I took with me to Wisconsin to work on. So get it out of my fabric roll, my travel fabric roll. It's in here somewhere. I stitched this as a gift for my husband, which is why it went into the Stitch Your Heart Out, because it's a gift from my hubby, who I love dearly. So for this, it's a pattern I designed, and it's a saying that has meaning for me and my husband. For this week challenge, I stitched the border on it, and it's on 28 count white Monaco, because I have got a bunch of that around that I got it as a bulk buy one time, so I've been using it up for different things. And the next week was a challenge called Love Bites. It was something to do with love that had a snarky or a punny feel to it, and so this fit perfectly for that one as well. So this is what I stitched up. That's what she said. So I love how it turned out. I gotta find I think I might put it in a frame. I don't know, or I don't know how I'm gonna finish it yet, but it's gonna be a gift for him. And I giggle every time I look at it. Alright, so the next one was they started doing a monthly designer challenge, a style challenge, and it starts on the 25th of the month and runs to the 24th of the next month. So because this one started in January, I call it the January one, even though there's only 5 days. But it's less confusing for me if I say it's the January Designer Challenge. And this one was Satsuma Street. So I chose the freebie design that she has on her blog called Sunshine. And this is on a 14 count Ada from my stash. It's in a light tan color, I'm not quite sure what it is. But using all the DMCs charted, and this is how far I got. Because your requirement is to do 500 stitches, and that was 500 stitches. Actually, I don't know, it's 500 and a few extra because I was finishing out, one of the little blocks. And this one goes into my little whip stash, because eventually I'll have a challenge this fits into. So the next thing they did was they started a little stitch along called 12 Months of Ornaments. Each month they have two versions. You can either stitch an ornament each month and then FFO it however you want to, or you could stitch in month A, stitch your ornament, in month B, FFO it in the way that what finishing technique is being demonstrated that month. So the first one was the flat prep on the felt. Did that one. So the next one that I stitched, because that first one was done. Oh shoot, my battery is showing like it's going down. So I gotta stop now, and I've been going so long my battery wore my battery down. So let me stop real quick, go grab my power cord, and I'll continue. Alright, okay. As it turns out, it wasn't the battery, it was the fact that I haven't cleared stuff off of the memory card for a while. So I got rid of a bunch of the footage that has already been put into videos. So we're good to go. It was nice, it gave my voice a little break. I was starting to get a little raspy. I would apologize for how long this video is going to be, but I'm not. It is what it is. I'm covering several months of stitchy goodness, so it's just gonna take a while. Okay, so as I was talking, I had 12 months of ornaments. So the first one was in December, I think. This one, well, the first one wasn't part of 12 months. They'd scheduled that as a one-time thing, and then I think that's where they got the idea from. So the first 12 months of ornaments, I stitched this little pattern. I think it goes like this. It's a little pattern called Victorian Holly notes from I didn't write it down. I meant to. Okay, it's like a 1990 something, 92 I think, just cross stitch ornaments. It's old. It's old. So the one change I did, I think I changed the red, maybe even changed the yellow, kept the greens, and I omitted some metallics that they had listed for here. So, and this was chosen as my January ornament because this, the technique that they just demonstrated, so I'll be FFOing this in the next week, was mounting onto a wood plaque, and I have one of those round ones from Joann's that I decided I would use, and this is the one I chose. I think it's very pretty. Very pretty. And this is just on 14 count black Aida for the back, for the fabric. So you'll see that when it gets FFO'd. Excuse me. Alright, so the next weekly challenge was called The Birds. And in that one, I stitched a pattern called Red-Winged Blackbird from Bent Creek. I think you guys have seen it before. I remember Organic Granny did it a while back. And I chose to do it in an alternate colorway, something more tropical. So I'm calling this guy, well, I stitched him on another piece of the 28 count Caribbean, and that's what's inspired me to do the tropical colorway. I call him my orange-winged Caribbean bluebird. And there he is. Such a cute little pattern. And I changed, they had a star in the original one, and since the star just didn't seem to fit, I changed it to a little sun. But I am thrilled with how he turned out. So cute. So that one got finished, but not FFO'd. I just wasn't feeling it at the time. So the next thing was our February monthly challenge is called Once Upon a Time. And for that I used my Jim Shore monogram project because my reasoning is it looked like kind of like a tapestry that you'd see in an old Once Upon a Time manuscript. So that's, I'm trying to get my working thread out of the way before I show you guys. Alright, so now the progress you're going to see is not just for that one. This was used for the weekly challenge Pretty in Pink, and the next week challenge was Ravishing in Red. It was used. So this is the progress from those 3 challenges, as well as a little bit more that I've done in this past week. But it's coming along pretty good. Making a lot of progress on this. In these little swirls and in the border and everywhere else except for the letter. The letter doesn't have any beads in it, but everything else does. A crap ton of beads are going to go on this project. So there it is. It's going to be, it's such a pretty pattern, and I'm having fun. I'm having fun stitching on it. This is just on 32 count white Lugana that I have in my stash. I bought like a 3-yard roll of it, or not roll, but 3-yard cut of it, because I use it for a lot of things, so I always have it on hand. Alright, so moving on, we had a special project, was to stitch a biscornu, and then a finishing class was held, and then you got points for finishing it. So this is my first biscornu. It is a pattern off of Etsy by a seller called Happy Stitches for You, and it's called the Kitty Biscornu. And look at him, so freaking adorable. Look at that. One little kitty and 2 little kitties. So, and then underneath, little footprints, they had the word cats written on the side, and I really didn't care for it, so I left it out. Instead, I put my signature in the one corner. But he is filled with polyfill, and I decided not to do the dimple in the middle because I think it looks better without. But yeah, as soon as I saw this pattern, I knew I had to do it. He's so adorable. This one is Castor, and this one is Pollux, because they're Gemini kitties, since I am a Gemini. There they are. And this is a big pattern. Look how massive this biscornu is. But I'm happy how this turned out. I had a little bit of difficulty with putting it together, mainly because the black little border stitches you use, the back stitching you use to join it together, they were hard to see because it was black thread, and I actually started in one of these corners where the 2 halves join where they're stitching, and that was really hard for me to see. But once I got going, I was doing good. I was getting a rhythm, and then my thread broke. After that, because I started with DMC thread, I moved to using a black sewing thread after that. Doubled, so I wasn't going to risk it for the rest of it. But I got them together. My first little biscornu. After that, like I've mentioned, there was a weekly challenge called Maliciously Hopeless. It was 7 new starts. You could do them all at once, or you could do them, one a day. But they followed a theme for each one. There was a list of different things that you had to fit that theme. So let me move this stuff out of the way so I can open up the project roll where I have them all stored. Get this out of the way. Alright, so the first one is something that makes you smile, and for that I chose to do a pattern that I got off Etsy by a seller named Stitch X Cross Stitch, and I will find, I took snips of all these patterns, so it'll be easy to show you. So I just gotta find them. It's under that and that and there. Okay, I found it. The first one is the Stitch X cross stitch Etsy store, and it's called Spring Banner. Doesn't that make you smile? It's just so cheerful and pretty. That little bluebird. I've had this in my, I bought this a while back. It's been in my stash for a while. And so I'm doing it on a 32 count Silvery Moon Lugana. And I got that letter done because you had to do 50 stitches to count it as a start. So there's at least 50 stitches. And this one got gridded with my fishing line. So there's that one. The next one, something that makes you laugh. And for this one, I chose a pattern off of Daily Cross Stitch. My husband has commented on it a few times, so he thinks it's absolutely hilarious. And so this is the one I stitched. Unstoppable. This reminds me of the Meet the Robinsons, where the T-Rex complains to the bad guy about how his arms are so short he couldn't get... So yeah, this one makes me laugh. And I'll show you my start on it. This was one thread and at least 50 stitches. There's the top of the head. And this one is gridded with friction pen because it's on, this is being stitched on a 14 count Aida, and it's actually the Aida that came in that dandelion kit that I bought. So I washed out the water soluble grid lines that they'd put in, and I used it for this guy. I think it's gonna look awesome. So another whip to go in my whip pile, so it'll be ready for whenever it fits something else. The next thing is something that makes you feel filled with glee, and I decided to do this little kit. It's an artiste kit. It's just a little watermelon one because I love watermelon. So whenever it comes in season, I am just a happy camper munching on watermelon. So here's the first thread, at least 50 stitches of watermelon. So it's gonna be fun when I get a reason to finish that up. So the next one, number 4, something that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And this one I finished because you know, if you FFO'd one of them, you got points. So this is the one I chose. It is a pattern that I charted based upon a plethora of examples that I found on Etsy, and I couldn't find a seller. Not Etsy. It was on Pinterest. There's like hundreds of pictures of these all over Pinterest, and I couldn't find a seller for them, so I charted my own, and it's such a simple little pattern. So I did this little guy. Oh, I love you on a notebook. So cute. And it's just framed in the hoop. Real simple. This is an 8, this is a 5-inch hoop that it's done in. Done on 14 count white Ada, and for the colors I chose 321 for the red, 310 for the writing, and 825 for the blue lines. So cute. I haven't quite decided who I want to give this to yet. I could give it to my son. I could give it to my husband. I mean, he saw me stitching it, so, you know, the element of surprise is gone, but I could still, but you know, I think I'm going to give this to my brother. Because, you know, we've reconnected, and, you know, it'd be so cute to give to him. It's you know, so gender neutral, so it's not girly, so it would work really well for a guy. And since he's planning on spending some time driving truck over, you know, cross-country semi-truck driving, this will be nice and small and light. He can just keep it in the cab. So I think I'll give this to him. So that was the thing that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Alright, the next one was something that makes you break out in maniacal laughter. So this one, I have seen this on, I found this on Pinterest a while back, like 2 years ago. I took a snip of it, and this was before, you know, I knew about copyright stuff, you know. So whenever I go to use one of these old patterns that I took a snip of and I charted it myself, I try to find where it came from, if it was a pay pattern or if it was a free pattern. And I have really good investigative skills when it comes to looking for these things. I could not find this anywhere. I couldn't even find the original picture anywhere. So if you know where this came from, let me know, because I am always willing to retroactively pay for a pattern that I, you know, charted myself. So, and this is not exactly the way I charted it. I based it on this. I made some changes, but it's don't make me do voodoo on you, a voodoo doll. I was like, who doesn't, you know, have a maniacal laugh when they think about pushing a stick pin into a voodoo doll? So this one, I just have a one thread start. It was a little over 50 stitches. It's on 14 count Ada, colors platinum. I got this, you know, on sale. One of the craft stores that was closing down years, I mean literally years ago. And I finally got around to using it. So there it is. And it's gridded with the friction pen. I like using friction pen on Ada. So that one got started. The next one is, oh wait, damn it, I had that mixed up. That one was actually number 6. It was for what makes you break out an evil grin. But you know, they're kind of interchangeable. The one that I did for breaks out in maniacal laughter is one it's my design. I charted it. And the backstory on this. So it's just a small snip of the pattern itself. When I was in the Air Force, we were preparing for a base-wide, a very important inspection. And so it was months and months of prepping for this inspection. and leadership was just getting ridiculous about it. So they were it was, beating a dead horse kind of a situation. And they came up with a slogan to try to motivate us, to motivate us to work as a team, to put, 110% effort into everything. Their slogan was all in, as in everyone's input is going to make this happen. They want you to put all of your effort into it. All in. Well, one of the more snarky members of my shop came up with an alternate slogan for it, that in most settings, whenever they said all in, we would repeat the alternate slogan in our head, and occasionally in the right setting, we would repeat it out loud. It just, you kind of knew when you were going to get in trouble for it and when it was acceptable. So since it still makes me freaking laugh, so all in, and we would repeat balls deep. You gotta have a sense of humor. When stressful stuff like that is going on, a sense of humor helps. And it's beneficial to work with people with a sense of humor that matches your own. So, balls deep. And here is my start on that. It's done on the other part of that platinum 14 count Ada. And the colors that I chose for it are 164, 517, and 3883. That 3883, the orange, is one of those new colors, the 2013 released colors. Very pretty orange. So that's what I chose. So there's my pattern. Alright, so Voodoo was next, and then number 7 was something that makes you feel content. And I love water. I love renditions of water. I love, the sound of water is very soothing. The colors, the blue shades of it, I find soothing. So I found this pattern in a issue of Cross Stitch Collection. It is the June 2009, and it's called Splish Splash. I love mosaic water, mosaic pattern water. So this, I'm just doing the waves at the bottom for my project. So there's that. And I'm doing it on 28 count white Monaco stuff I have that I bought in a bulk package a while back. So here's my first. Let's get it upright. There's the first little bit. And this one, it's on Monaco, but I actually gridded it with friction pen. It was the first time I have gridded an even weave with friction pen. And so I needed to use my really strong jewelers, and I have a fine tip friction pen that I got at our quilting store. That doesn't exist anymore. But it worked, and it worked well. So who knows, I might do more projects that are on even weave, at least on 28 count. I'm not sure I can manage on 32 count. That was kind of tiny to work it, but as you can see, maybe it's on there. So it was a good test, on a project that I don't have a huge emotional investment in, so, and a small project. So that was a good test, and I think I'll have to try other ones and see how that works. Oh wait, I found it at the bottom of that pile. Was my blissfully unaware. So here's the progress so far that I did. Little rawr hands at the bottom. I changed, that was supposed to be, I think, a white, and I decided to change it to, you know, zombie green at the bottom. So this one, you know, goes in the pile, waiting for the right sal that it just fits. So there that is. And I think that pretty much catches up to this week. This week, let me grab them. We started two different sals. One is the new designer sal. This month is Joan Elliott, and get it up the right way. It's actually, I'm stitching it this way, but it's gonna be orientated this way. This is from, let me see, it's a 2000 something. Well, if you need to know, I will provide the information. You just have to ask. But I do have a snip of it to show you. It's from a series of patterns called Give Thanks, and it is the little turkey motif on the napkin. He's so cute. I figure I'm gonna do him up as a small of some sort, probably like a little pillow, because, you know, even though I don't have a place to keep smalls right now, I might own a dough bowl at some point in the future, and at some point I'll have a nice place to display them all. So there's one I worked on yesterday, and then, oh, and this is on the 28 count Monaco that I'm trying to use up. I got a bunch of it. So, and then the weekly challenge is called Do Unto Others, and it's to stitch something for charity. And so I chose to stitch something for a group called World of Charity Stitching. And they have a Facebook group, and one of the themes that they're asking for right now is men's sports, because I think they're going to try to put a quilt together. We'll see. And I chose, I actually have the pattern to show you, or the pamphlet. It is a Stony Creek pamphlet, and I'm doing the fishing one at the bottom. And this is how I started stitching on him today, and this is how far I've gotten. So he's stitching up really quick. For a little pattern like this, good Lord, you would be amazed at the number of colors that little pattern is using. And they're, you know, most of them are in that fish. Good Lord. Alright, so here we go. Look at all those colors in that little fish. Good Lord. But I guess that's Stony Creek Patterns. They do, you know, a really good job with shading and whatnot. I got this pattern during their Super Bowl sale, so I got it for like $1.25, and I bought it specifically for this because I knew this was coming up, and I was able to prepare for it. So, and this one's actually on 18 count white Aida. They asked for patterns that are no more than 5 inches in either direction, and in order for this to be 5 inches, I had to do it on 18 count. So I'm really liking stitching on 18 count because I don't have to railroad, I don't have to fight the thread to get good coverage on it, so I'm liking it. So that's what I was stitching on today. Alright, so we are finally caught up. So, let's see. Let's refer to my notes, make sure that I don't have anything else to talk about. I have another topic I want to talk about that I was going to add to the back of this, but this is long enough. I will do it next time. Alright, so the only other thing that I want to show you is a tiny bit of haul that I am super excited about. Crazy Annie's. I love that store. She is such a nice and awesome person. So they are doing a Fabric of the Month club with Picture This Plus fabric. Soon as I saw this, she sent out a message, for people to sign up. Boom, I was there. Because I wash everything. I have to wash everything. Because of where I live, the sheer amount of dust that covers every surface where I live right now, there's just no way I can keep a project perfectly clean as I work on it. So my fabric needs to be able to be washed. So there are, as far as I know, there are currently only 2 dyers in the US that do color fast hand dyed. Picture This Plus and Silk Weavers. And you know the problems that we have with Silk Weavers. I'm still in their Fabric of the Month club. I'll show the stuff that I've gotten from them in the next one. But yeah, they're freaking hit and miss as far as when you get your stuff. I still have enough, I have enough patience, and I don't care too much about when I get my fabric. Just get me my fabric, that's all I care about. But yeah, I was thrilled beyond words when I got notification from Crazy Annie's that she was doing a Picture This Plus Fabric of the Month. I have been jonesing for Picture This Plus to do a Fabric of the Month, but they're always so busy. They stopped doing their they used to do little tiny pieces. You could, it was a Fabric of the Month, but it was only little tiny pieces just for swatches. I was in that, and they stopped doing it. So since then, I've been waiting and waiting. Finally, somebody stepped up and did it. So I got my first ones yesterday. So they're offering, you can do either a neutral or a color, something more colorful, or you can do both. And I chose to do both for the time being, and I'm getting mine in my preference is 32 count Lugana, and the first neutral was Wren. It's gorgeous. Everybody loves this fabric, and I know why, because it's so pretty, and for a neutral, such an awesome fabric. So there's my first neutral from Crazy Annie's Fabric of the Month, and the colorful one this week. And they pick 2 each month, and that's all they're doing. They're doing 1 neutral, 1 color. And so my 32 count Laguna for the colored one, colorful one is Bashful. And it's such a pretty pink. See, try to get it so it's not washed out. That's close. But yeah, a nice delicate pink. Definitely have a use for this at some point. But yeah, I am just so freaking thrilled about this. I can find these, because the cool thing about Fabric of the Month clubs that, people that like them, have tried them, and like them, is you'll get fabrics that you normally wouldn't have chosen yourself, but you're gonna love them even though you wouldn't have chosen them for yourself. And it's just always fun to get one in the mail each month. So this was something that I'm willing to pay for, and so happy. Start building my Picture This Plus stash. Yeah. And I like Picture This Plus. They've got beautiful fabrics, and the one thing I found is their variation in their fabric tends to be more of what I would call a fractal kind of. It has more edgy transitions to it, which is good for a lot of things. Some of theirs are more smoothly modeled, but most of them are pretty fractal. And again, that's just how I've decided to describe it. And Silk Weavers is more of a smooth modeling, so that's why I went with their Fabric of the Month club, and I'm sticking with it for now. Even if I gotta fight with them every once in a while to get them to send me my stuff, I recognize that they are flat out liars about why the stuff doesn't go out in time. And it torques me. So, but I love their fabric, and I'm still within my patience level with the difficulties that we have with them. But this makes me just so happy. All right. My update and update to the update is done. I hope you guys had fun watching this, and that I don't know how long it's gonna be, but it'll be however long it is. If I can keep somewhat regular, maybe they won't have to be nearly this long. I mean, I was covering a year and some change of stitching, and didn't even cover the round robin stuff. That'll be in one of the next ones. I have one more thing to show you that I found in the drawer. I had done this for a gift for somebody, and I just didn't get it done in time, so it's kind of sitting and waiting. I stitched the tiniest little hummingbird pattern. Look at that! So freaking tiny. Oh man, and I did a little flat prep with this tiny little guy, and my plan is to make it into the world's smallest flat fold using this fabric. But that, that's a project that'll get done eventually. But yeah, I've had him in my little freebie stash for a long time, and finally had a reason to just stitch him. And of course, It took me longer to pull the floss than it did to stitch. Okay, so that's it. Just a quick note on Flosstube watching. I have caught up. I am caught up with my subscriptions. I am doing my damnedest to stay there. And since I caught up, I am now actively working my way through the newbie backlog that I have. I have a spreadsheet where I've kept track of everybody and all the newbies. I've been putting them into a playlist. So it's a first in, first out kind of a thing. So if you just started making you just started making videos, it's gonna take me a while to get to you. Because I have a long list. It's like 200 and some newbies to work through. But I will get through them. I will. And I will get to you. So, but Flosstube is so much fun. Being a part of it, watching, that segment that I'm able to watch. It's awesome. Because it's such a wonderful community. Everybody says it. I love you guys. So keep doing what you're doing. And keep stitching the things you love. Alright? We'll see you next time. Happy stitching.